All right.
All right, get ready to come into the show. Hopefully that gets blanked out in the commercials as people are trying to come in and
it didn't say live
ad in front of it. It does say live now. That is absolutely correct. And we are live with our special U.S. Nationals panel. I am joined by a couple of the players that are planning to be at U.S. Nationals, a few less than we intended, but we can make a great show out of the wonderful, beautiful people I have joining me today. Before we get started, these panels, they generally don't follow the usual rules of Married with Clixed content. So I'm going to warn you now, there may be some naughty language used here and there. I may or may not be guilty or innocent of it. So I'm going to warn you now, if your discretion is advised, some naughty language may be used. You've been warned. All right. With that, though, I am joined in this panel, as we talk about U.S. Nationals, by Mr. PJ Bolin.
Hi.
Long absent from the Metal Lab. Used to be on our Monday show on a regular basis, and now he's back on the show here because it fits a schedule. And I'm also joined by the young prodigy, one Mr. Easton Brock. How's it going, Easton?
Pretty well.
Good. All right, awesome. Now, my panel here, my friends here, are joining us because they're going to be at U.S. Nationals, and we're going to talk about the mindset as we go into U.S. Nationals. These are accomplished players, not necessarily winners of U.S. national championships, but PG came very close once. Easton came very close once himself as well. So
second and third, maybe.
Yeah. So I have never been even close to U.S. nationals top. I got really close one year in Canadians, but that's what it is.
Except PG was like triggeringly close. Like
it's like there's points. And it's like you're watching everybody in the crowd was watching their clocks, like how much time is left in the round because this is really, really close. It was great. Yeah. All right. So let's get into it, guys. It's post-rotation. And that's the big conversation topic about this U.S. Nationals. UK Nationals recently happened. It was also post-rotation, but not with Avengers Infinity. Avengers Infinity is included in the U.S. Nationals metagame. Excuse me. And I believe, depending on timing, at least Ninja Turtles, if not also the Batman animated series, but I believe that Batman might be after. Pre-releases are the weekend of Canadian Nationals, so Ninja Turtles will be the only difference between U.S. Nationals and Canadian Nationals. So, focusing on U.S. Nationals.
Bird and the Thanos copter, the Blackbird, and all that stuff will be legal at Canadian Nationals.
Absolutely, and none of the con exclusives will be legal for U.S. Nationals. Right. That's going to be the conversation we have at the Canadian Nationals panel, which I plan on having as well close to that event. And we'll also have one of these for Worlds and probably Rocktober as well. Probably not states. There's so many states, it's just so hard to accumulate the right bodies and manage that conversation. Also, this is part one of a two-part panel. The other one will be on Monday with more regulars to podcasters or podcast hosts. We'll be joining Jay on the regularly scheduled Metal Lab. Anyway, post-rotation, PJ, what are the things you're happy to see gone, and what are the things you're planning to see that we haven't seen pre-rotation?
Happy to see the obvious IDs go, Arrow and level 7.
Yeah.
I think those being gone alone will increase the play in swarming style teams. That's what I'm excited to see come back. Stuff that's playing, 5, 6, 7 figures and not being worried about Hawkeye just ravaging your entire team. Because nobody's playing in Main Force. And if you are, he's probably just dead.
Or your team dies if he dies.
Right.
Yeah. All right. And what do you? So you said you're expecting swarm teams. Is there anything outside of swarm teams you're expecting to see that we didn't see much of in the last pre-rotation meta?
A Maridroid. I think he'll have a resurgence, but primarily because Hawkeye's gone.
Yeah. Yep. Okay. So could this can be one of those situations where I was playing it before everybody else, and I can say I was a precursor, and everybody should have been listening to me?
Yes. Jason Collins is the herald of the Maridroid.
I'm the herald of the next meta before it should be happening. So that multiple Superman team, I was playing it before the rotation that would have made it good.
It's like you just fell into it. I did a thing.
I did that a while ago. Wasn't good, but it is now.
Same question to you, sir. What are you happy to see gone, and what are you looking forward to seeing, or what do you expect to see that we haven't seen in the pre-rotation?
I'm happy to see obviously Green Arrow and Nick and Hawkeye really, off the IDs, just obviously 5 points is just so stupid with that. I'm mixed feelings about the teleporter. I always love the teleporter, but it's I've never liked resources for the game, probably more than I'd like it without.
Cool. Awesome. So obviously the idea of working with the Arrow and Hawkeye have come up in conversation. But I've also had people talk to me about teams themselves, but are we expecting to see any of those teams possibly show up? And do you think those teams have a chance against what could possibly be out there in this new meta? Easton, we'll let you start that one.
I think it's like if it's they're not good against every team, so like there's a few teams that are just pretty well rounded against most teams. But if you have like a Hawkeye or Green Arrow on your team, they're just gonna die to certain matchups. Like sure, if you face a Unimind with Green Arrow, you might just light them up, but if you play Wolverines, you'll kill one and then just die.
Fair, yeah, I can hear that. PJ, your thoughts, sir?
I agree completely. You become so one-dimensional, and you're not going to play both, like realistically, unless you just want to play a really bad pile of team. But I think we'll definitely see them show up, but I don't expect to see them perform all that well.
All right. So we talked a little bit of what was old and could be new, but isn't going to be new, and what's going to be gone and whatnot. But let's talk about what's still lingering out there. Uniminds and Shredders. They're still the topic of conversation. A lot of people are talking about them. We'll get to another team that a lot of people are talking about shortly. But Unimind and Shredders, are you guys still planning for them? Are they still that looming threat that have to be dealt with? PJ, I'll let you start.
Yeah, definitely a threat. I mean, I tested with Dan for like 10 hours against Unimind. So definitely can't say it's not a threat because the team's still – it's not just as good as it's always been, but it's still good.
Mm-hmm.
It's not so much point and click. So if you're playing it and you're not experienced with it, you're wrong. And Shredders, it's something you always kind of have to be ready for. Like – I don't know that you necessarily build around it, but you at least need to know how your team matches up with it.
All right, fair point. Easton, your thoughts there?
Yeah, I'd say you obviously have to be prepared for these two things, but I honestly don't think Unimind is a great pick in the meta right now. Like, just in general, I think it's like he got nerfed, but he also got buffed back with all these new Eternals. But I still just don't think he stacks up right now. And as far as Shredders go, honestly, I've never had a huge problem with Shredders. Everybody complains about Shredders, like they're, point and click, autopilot. I've lost very few games to Shredders, if any, that I can remember. And I just find them easy to maneuver around.
Yeah, I remember back in the day myself, I had mentioned that I have never changed my team for Shredders. I've changed my play. And right. I think that's one thing, we should leave out there in the world. It's like, if you're expecting to see Shredders, don't build your team around having to deal with them. Shredders are just figures that kind of you have to deal with in general. Just know how they're going to move at you and be ready to react to that and force them to make weird position choices.
And I guess on that note, that I don't think it's Shredders. I think it's just Shredder. I don't think there's like a 2-Shredder team that's great right now, outside of just 2 Shredders and a ton of Colossal Retaliation.
Yeah.
Because like that is what the team is Colossal Retaliation, because Colossal Retaliation is so annoying to deal with right now.
Oh, absolutely. And that was actually going to bring me to the next topic. And that's Serdar. A lot more people using him now. A lot more people talking about him.
He's up to $100.
Like all of a sudden, I got one at 50 recently. Thought I was getting. I felt a little ripped off at the time. Then I'm starting to look at it, and then he went up like a week later. I was like, "What happened? What did I miss?" And that he's talking $100 US. So to our Canadian fans, add that extra $29 to that. That's $129 Canadian. That's insanity. But now I'm going to pass it to you first, Easton. Where did this come from? What do you think is causing this surge, the Serdar surge, as it were?
Just getting rid of defense powers and the it all started probably from the change, with Green Arrow, or the clarification where that power that he has is just going to get rid of all defensive powers, whether they're on the dial or not. So, I mean, obviously there's going to be a ton of stop clicks. You have all the Envision's Infinity Chases. You have Unimind. You have even Colossus, and you have Darwin that Serdar takes care of right now.
Yeah. All right. PJ? Is there more you want to add to that, or do you think he's got a bigger threat range there?
I think I think it's a fear price, kind of like what Easton's saying. It's like people are scared of Unimind, and people who are playing Unimind are scared of Darwin, or he's a good answer to what should be commonplace stuff, and he's only 25 points.
Yeah,
I don't think he's worth $100, but if somebody wants to give me $100 for mine, it's gone.
And again, like you say, only 25 points, but man, that is just so expensive to me. I like Flores, man. I'm Team PJ. I want Flores.
In the case of Colossal Retaliations, I see that because I can spend $10 on a Carnage and maybe deal between 4 and 7 damage with them.
And like Giant Girls now, and
Yep.
I do like the outlook though of being able to, when it comes to dealing with Colossal Retaliators, Serdar's range really helps him actually kind of kill a guy and then go attack another Colossal Retaliator.
Right. And its free penetrating damage is usually good enough to get one.
Absolutely, and that's 8 range with 12 attack.
Yep.
Even I'd be hard pressed to miss that.
And it's what is his second trigger on his retail is like 2 penetrating within 2 or 1 penetrating within 2 squares of him.
Yeah.
That's actually a pretty big range.
Yeah. So like he can, like a lot of people are talking about bringing big swarms of giant girls. Well, retaliate on one of those giant girls, watch 4 more die, and then shoot another one.
Right.
Yep.
There's a lot going on there, kids. But honestly, we've talked about what things are looking like, and without forcing you guys to give, because we don't want to force you guys to give out your teams, but and we're not going to get that yet because we had another thing. There is this new team that people are talking about. That's the X-Men Swarm. Let's talk about this because it's one of those things. This is the topic of conversation in general. Everybody's talking about the X-Men Swarm. I just found out about it today myself because I've seen like 7 different people talking about it, and somebody brought it up in our in a chat that I was privy to, and it was like, "What's this X-Men Swarm?" What's an X-Men Swarm? So that said, your plans for dealing with this, is this a massive threat to what already exists? Do you think this is this the easy team, as it were? And I'm going to let PJ start on this one.
Definitely not the easy team, because unlike Shredders and Uni and some other builds, this build has no room for mistakes. Like if you have any mispositioning, or you decide to kill the wrong target, you get punished way harder than if you're playing Shredders who have a billion clicks of life, or Uni who has the rollouts. So it's very unforgiving. Mm-hmm. So somebody who's just going to show up and be like, "Oh my god, give me all these pieces, let me play it," probably going to get wrecked, just because there's a lot more to it than just move all my team up and then charge Flurry a bunch. Like, there were a couple games I tested where I knew I lost when I placed my boxing ring wrong. I was like, yeah, I'm probably not going to be able to come out of this. And I was right. So, there's a lot of subtleties about the team that can really make it fall on its face. Building against it, I don't know that you necessarily have to do that, because I think there's not really a whole lot of things you can add or change in matchups.
I think there's one big thing, and it's just as many Groots as you can squash in there.
Yeah.
Because walking woods themselves are the bane of Wolverine's existence.
Yeah, they can just kill Wolverine.
Have your outwit.
Yeah.
Be done with it. You can have Leslie Evelyn's. I'm going to start with 2 extra walking woods, and then I'm going to retaliate into some walking woods. Let's feed wood to you all day.
There you go.
In a walking wood, it just kills Wolverine. So yeah, Groot is bad for X-Men. But so if you're playing X-Men, you should probably kill Groots.
Bingo.
You're
All
welcome.
right. Awesome. And I think you kind of threw in some stuff there, Easton. Did you want to add anything to how you're planning on dealing with this, or what else is, what else?
Yeah, I just wanted to add a little bit. It's crazy that there's actually a lot of variations of the team. Like, oh, it's X-Men, but there's so many different, like. So I found out that basically the more Wolverines, the better to an extent. I think maximum 4 is best. And I've seen it with 4, 3, and 2. And I've seen somebody play 5. But like I've seen it with 2 Wolverines, an Eternity, and Lila.
Yep.
And it was actually pretty cool to see. Because you run the Wolverines out there, they kill something, Eternity gets a notice token, and then he pops off on somebody. He places right next to him, calls in another Wolverine, or whatever. He can also call in like all new and 100-point stuff like that. And also the Wolverines have a chance to come back to life on a roll of a 6 if they die, which is pretty strong.
Cool. All right.
And Shifting Focus Deadpool is seeing some play because he has X-Men keyword on
the Prime.
Well, and the bathrobe, and I think the free phasing one.
Yeah, the bathrobe I think is really just what makes it over the top.
Yep.
Because you can get the perplex on him and somebody else, right?
Yep.
Yeah, and prob.
X-Men, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Hey guys, that's another one I was ahead of the curve on. I played the Canadian Nationals. Sorry, I'm a terrible player. I shouldn't be doing that. All right, but we move on now to your thoughts as far as where you're focused on building. Like, what are you? And without, like I said, you're not being forced to reveal your team, but where's your mindset right now? What are you trying to focus on? What are you testing against, which is, an important thing? And what maybe are players missing in their test pool of teams that they're running the gauntlet on? Because the idea of testing is we're running the gauntlet. We take our team and we play against a team, 1 person, 2 person, or whatever number of people are going to be playing, and see how we do in each game, and then run the numbers again and again to see how many you can get your percentages on. So that said, what are you planning for? What are a lot of players do you think are missing on? What figures do you think some need to be included in some of the builds? And I'm going to let Easton start on this one.
Okay, I think the biggest sleepers right now, I'd say, and they're not even really sleepers, are all of the Infinity Chases.
Mm-hmm.
Stop click power. They have great traits. I mean, I'm talking basically Moondragon, Photon, and Star Fox. Those are the big 3.
Yeah.
And I think Star Fox is the best one, even though he's got the only 1 stop click. He's so obnoxious, especially paired with Mjolnir.
Cool.
Yeah. So if you hit him, sure. Okay, I'm playing Star Fox Mjolnir, most likely, whatever I play. I'm I like it that much. So I've been hit to stop click so many times, and I'll flurry and I'll hit twice, and I'll also roll 2 4s during that flurry, and I just go right back up to click number 1. So it's super obnoxious to kill, and he's great. His double perplex is nuts. I just think he's kind of the complete package for that 80 to 90 point value right now. He just lacks mobility, so you have to find a way to get him, mobile. Mm-hmm. And as far as the rest of the field, I think that you should mostly be testing against X-Men and Sam Cap and a mini combo.
Yeah. You see, and should Unimind still be part of the pool too, or?
Yeah. Okay, I mean,
yeah.
But if you can't beat Unimind with your team, I think that's baseline. I think Unimind is just, if my team can't beat Unimind, I shouldn't be playing it.
That's cool. Yeah, that's a fair point. Anything Easton might have missed there, PJ?
No, I think that's pretty much covered it. I'm building and testing, like he said, against I want to play against SamCap as much as possible, just because I think that's probably, if I had to pick something that was going to be the majority of the field, it would probably be that or Shredders. But you don't really have to play test against Shredders because it's not hard. What do I do after I take 1? What do I do after I take 2? Okay. All right. That's my team. So the testing's pretty cut and dry. To add where you asked about testing against Uni, I think it's actually worse to test against an unexperienced Unimind player than it is to test none at all against it.
Gives you a false sense of security.
Yeah. If you're not testing against a very skilled Unimind pilot, you shouldn't test against it at all, and you should just hope for the best.
I'm wondering if I should actually start setting up a business in my heroclix groups in locally, where it's like, hey, for $30 per game, I'll test a Unimind against your team, guys. For $45, I'll lose on purpose. All right. A little bit of levity there. And I wanted to kind of throw this one out there because before I have another topic I want to talk about after this that PJ's introduced that I didn't even think about. But the Avengers Infinity introduced a couple Colossals that have these lingering effects even if they happen to die. That would be Infinity, Kronos. I believe Eternity has one as well.
Yep.
And Ego, I want to say, or I might be wrong on that one.
I don't think Ego has one.
I think it's either a Tribunal or Chaos and Death. Maybe?
Yeah. Okay. Master Order Chaos. Yeah, that's the
Tribunal has one, right?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Each opponent's turn, they get an action total -1 if it has more characters than any other force.
All right. So a reason I bring that up is I've been looking at them myself, considering them. Which one of those lingering effects, or which of those lingering effects, do you think has the most likelihood of showing up?
Infinity.
Infinity is okay. So it's just universally Infinity. What about Kronos? You guys aren't on board with Kronos there?
I think when you're looking at a piece where you're paying a certain amount of points to get an effect, Infinity is the most cost effective.
Fair enough. That's cool. Yeah, because you get a bonus shrunk to your opponent. You get a huge reach advantage.
Yep.
And another thing, I'm very likely playing Infinity too. I'm a big believer in Infinity. I don't really care. I'm not big on the element of surprise. So, the thing is, out of all those you said, Infinity's the only one that has to die because her utility and her speed power is too good.
That's fair.
And 12 range outwit. Not bad.
That's pretty good. I look at Kronos at 60 points with a 9 range probability control on top of his miss by 1 reroll effect. It's pretty good myself, but I may be overselling it on my to me because I can't roll for hell.
Okay. There's nothing wrong with him. It's just there's a lot you can do for 60 points, and he's only got 4 clicks.
That's fair. That's a fair point. Okay. But PJ, you introduced the idea of SamCap and having to deal with the SamCap. Is that easy mode team? Or what is easy mode team if it isn't? And I'm going to let PJ take the lead on that. Obviously, before I let you answer there is a team that, more experienced players are going to suggest less experienced players try to use. Or there's going to be a team that super experienced players are going to use because if they win with it, they don't have to look at the top 8 and go, oh my God, I'm going to be dying tired by this point. So is the SamCap build or any version of SamCap that answer, or is there something else you think that's actually easier to play in the competitive market right now? I'll let PJ start.
I think in the current meta, SamCap would be the easiest team to pick up and pilot. Just because your game is ultimately decided when you run over and shoot something. If you miss and you can survive, you might be okay. But if you miss and they're going to kill something, you just lose and you accept that. That doesn't happen often. But if you're able to hit something hard enough that you're safe, then you should be able to just control the tempo of the game for the remainder of it. So the team isn't super versatile. It does 2 things, and it does them very, very well. It moves across the map, and it calls in. It's highly mobile, and it utilizes as many ID cards as you can. So that's inherently easy to do, so long as you're good at getting your ID characters off the map so they don't just die to retaliation.
Sure.
But you can also run all the way across and call in Professor X at 50 and kill 3 retaliators. So that's that's always an option too. That's pretty good, I guess.
All right. Easton?
I agree that SimCap is one of the easiest, but I do think the straight up easiest is probably just 2 shredders and a ton of retail. I think it's going to be competitive in most any environment, just because shredders are so durable and colossals are so hard to deal with. There's only like one answer right now, and that's Brood X. He's going to most likely kill 3 of them, but if you have like 5 or 6, okay, sure. What does it matter?
Right.
Yeah.
And also, the Colossals just are like Groot himself just gives so much value even by just making 2 Walking Woods, because I think like Walking Woods are like the most annoying thing in the game right now.
Well, they have plasticity. They have shape change as well, if I remember correctly.
Plasticity, sidestep, flurry,
and 3 damage with that flurry.
Yeah.
Impact, 3 damage, and then like a 16 toughness. So you can't even, like pick poison and kill them.
Exactly. So they're a hot mess nightmare to deal with. I've been testing with them, so I recognize how awesome they are. I'm definitely running the gamut of Sophie's Choice teams, which is I'm going to have a bunch of Colossal Retaliators and put things in your face. You either deal with them and get retaliated on, or you deal with my Retaliators and then get stuck dying to my other stuff. So it's mean. I love it. All right, so I mean, it's time to start opening up the floor to the conversation. We kind of directed the conversation in the right area. PJ, is there anything you kind of wanted to highlight going into the U.S. Nationals event as far as the competitive play is concerned?
Not particularly. I think the meta's in a very good place right now. I think the fact that it took me weeks to decide what I wanted to play means that the meta's healthy. So that's, good job with kids for squaring away something that's not a giant pile of crap.
Yeah. Yeah, that there was a point, and I'm going to get Easton's opinion on that there, Easton's input is that I was panicking when we lost resources that we wouldn't have options. And I'm feeling a little wrong right now, but we still have to wait to see what comes up in Nationals, what might have been missed or what might actually end up dominating. We'll see. Luckily, there's not enough lockjaws out there to have some kind of domination of the meta base. But if, the 8 or 9 that do show up do happen to dominate, that might be a bit of a flag for people. Anyway, Easton, anything you think we should be highlighting right now outside of, or if you want to add on to what Easton was saying about the current state of the meta?
Yeah, PJ kind of nailed it for me. I was just going to say how much better the meta is like this year compared to last year, because last year was just Goblin King and Jakeem and Faust and Tank just absolutely ruining people's day. There's one other thing. I forgot what I was going to say. Oh, it's how much more important theme. Like, you had mystical theme last year, but theme this year is like a pretty big deal. With the 3, I guess, obvious ones are going to be Cosmic, X-Men, and Avengers.
And
also Monster, I guess. I forgot Monster. Monster's actually really good right now.
Who would play a Monster team? Easton, you're out of your mind. Nobody's playing a Monster team.
Well, it's weird. It's weird how much support Monster like randomly has. Like, that's not a keyword you think that would have support like, say, a mystical team would.
Or an entire set that had nothing but figures with the keyword.
Right.
All they are missing is a low point prop. And
that's it.
Monster would just be the shit.
Yeah. So. They have a 75 point. We lost PJ's internet. They have a 75 point prober in the Goblin King, but you got to invest in that, of course.
Monsters were my second choice for Nationals. Like, I think I'm locked in at this point, but if I wasn't playing what I am right now, I might just be playing Goblin King at 175, Serdar, Dr. Frankenstein, and Bizarre Green Arrow.
Yeah.
I'm not focusing on myself right now. that is not in any way, shape, or form similar to a team.
What is that team? What's that?
What's Dr. Frankenstein? Nobody's using him. He's terrible.
Yeah, he's awful.
Horrible.
Actually, what we should be talking about is the ghost of Abraham Lincoln.
Right? Or you know what? People, if you're sleeping on Jacob Marley, stop now.
I like Jacob Marley.
Oh man. Or we're talking. He doesn't have the monster keyword, but Flash God of Death and like 6 Grim Reapers.
Oh.
That does damage that has a monster keyword.
Savage.
I watched a guy play that combo, and Flash just says you can't heal, so you deal damage to them. The six Grim Reaper triggers, they die and they can't come back because they can't heal.
Yeah, it's unavoidable off the top.
And it's unavoidable damage, and he heals. Oh,
and then Flash God of Death prevents it. It's so funny to watch.
Yeah, if anything gets hit by a monster, like by a Serdar, they're just dead.
Yeah.
Oh my god! Didn't know that it was a heal. I thought it was a move the dial. Oh, I wish I had a Flash God of Death now. Because I think I have enough Grim Reapers to make this work. I may have slightly overinvested in Undead to get the right number of demons I need. I'm just throwing that out there. Actually, there's no such thing as overinvesting in Undead. It is correctly investing. And I hope I just skyrocketed all the prices on the individual Undead figures so I can get rid of some of these doubles.
I mean, at least you didn't invest in Star Trek.
I thought of a team that I meant to talk about earlier.
Oh, okay.
Mistress Death is actually still really viable right now.
She is. She has not stopped her viability.
Well, like I was not sold on it because she lost access to charge, but then they made Tigra Chase. So if you play Tigra Chase with the Fast Forces Penguin, if you roll
that is awesome.
You give her charge blades. So and she gets +1 range, so it's like a 16 range charge with blades.
And then obviously you run Giant Girls with that.
You just play a ton of retaliation, right? I mean,
and haha, probably.
Yeah. And Raven, Mistress Death, because you want to get me on your own easily, and then Tigra and Penguin, and then just filler like haha, Joker and a bunch of retail.
That's actually Amazeballs.
Yeah,
I'm gonna test this.
I played one game with it, and I positioned poorly, and I was like, I don't feel like testing it again. But like, I let Raven just die from like 13 away, so I was like, well, that's probably bad. And then long,
not the team for me.
Yeah, I tilted myself on it. I was like, God, I knew I should have put Carnage in the way. But yeah, I think it's actually fairly viable. Like, you actually have a better chance of rolling into charge than off the teleporter. So, because instead of just a 1 in 6, it's basically
basically 2 in 6.
Yeah. So, and you can prop it. Like, if you don't have a 3, you can prop it. And with her attack value, if you roll any 3s, it's automatically a hit because it's 12 on a 16. So you can't miss if you roll a 3. So you still get to move your token if you need to. Like, if I had more time to put testing into it, I would consider playing it for nationals. So I just wanted to talk a little bit about that team. So if anybody's looking for something that's a little off the wall that people haven't tested against, there you go.
Or add it to your test pool if you feel the need, because PJ has now opened his mouth about it.
I mean,
you're to hear.
Yeah, you have a whole week to prepare.
Or at least, the day or two before. Wait, okay, so, and here's the thing I haven't educated myself on, so I'm going to use you guys to educate me and to therefore educate the viewers. Origins, if I remember correctly, starts on Thursday?
Wednesday.
Wednesday.
Yeah.
Okay. Yep. Now, the actual events leading up to Nationals, they start on Thursday? Like, is it Thursday, Friday? You have the grinders, and Saturday's the event, or
I think it's Wednesday, Thursday grinders, Friday nationals, Saturday team nationals.
Yep.
Okay. So with that, you do have a couple nights of last minute cramming. You don't even have a full week, to be brutally honest. You should be ready within the next couple days. So you have hours to. So hopefully you booked your vacation. If you just heard about that team, a little bit of time ahead of time just to make sure you have some answers or know how this team is going to work against you, so you can do your best to work against them. With that, we've talked about all the cool stuff. And we've talked about all the awesome stuff. Let's talk about the fun stuff. Battle Royale, is there a thing that happens? Actually, let's talk about the qualifying before. Are they running the qualifying the same they ran Worlds last year?
Yes. Yeah. I know. I think they're using the point system where you have to get 8 points, I think, to qualify.
Okay, and it's like 8 points if you win a tournament, 4 points if you get second,
right.
No points and you get stuff either way. Is that
everybody? Bottom half gets an ID card, top half gets an LE.
Cool.
Okay. Awesome. Yeah, it's every time they get 8 people, they fire.
Yeah. All right. So there's going to be those. Once you have your qualifications, it's going to be Battle Royales. Those are going to be fun. Now, if you walk in with your WKO win, that's awesome. And you have lots of time. Battle Royales are the thing to do. Are they – you know if they're running Infinity for Battle Royales?
Yeah.
Yeah, because I know Team National is going to be in Infinity, and that's like another thing that I want to talk about once we get there.
Well, that was going to be the next thing. It's like Nationals is something that needs to get talked about, but I do want to talk. I want to take a little time for levity.
Yeah.
Battle Royales are a fun thing. Some people take them a little bit more seriously than others because they really want the cons. I'm the guy who has the Battle Royale where everybody's laughing, and I'm drawing a lot of attention to my team, to my table. I apologize to everybody who's taking it seriously. Deal with it. I'm having fun.
Yeah, you're having fun until the lockjaw gets dropped at the end.
Until the lockjaw gets dropped at the end, and it's like, oh, really, guys? Come on.
It's like, I know you want that ID card, right? Like, come on.
Yeah. You know what, though? Even when I have that team where it's like, well, first pull, I'm winning. Let's just, try to make it some kind of fun. And I start, poking fun at people and giving them the side eye, like, oh, you're going to take that kill that I'm about to get, aren't you? That kind of stuff does get people laughing. Are you guys looking forward to Infinity Battle Royals? Are they just allowing you to use full point Colossus in this case?
No. It's maximum 200 points, right?
Yeah.
Oh, thank God. Because I'm just imagining somebody pulls a Thanos. It's like, well, okay, let's can we just get a prize now and be done with this?
Yeah.
The three of you play.
They haven't stated how Thanos' optional traits work at all, or if at all, during BRs. So,
I'm sure
I don't know if they count as being over 200. I don't know if you're even allowed to use them. So that'll be a question for if a Thanos.
Have we ever played? Has there been a set where a person has optional traits like that? I don't think so.
Civil War, but we didn't BR that.
Yeah. That's what I was talking about. Man. See,
wait, which trait are we talking about here? With
both of those
options. The ones you have to pay for. So you don't know if you can use those because you don't have the option. I guess building the draft counts as force construction because that's when you pay for it.
But you're always paying the most you can. You're always paying the top value that's allowed. So I don't know.
No, you never had to do that. I thought you could play it smaller if you wanted to.
Nope.
Really?
Yeah, you always had to play them at the highest value that you can. So, and that's why, at 150 would be his highest starting line you could use. But that means you couldn't use both traits because he'd be over 200.
So maybe they probably really could pick one, if I had to imagine.
Well, I actually could see them just saying you can't use either one.
Yeah, I can see him doing either.
Is HC Realms missing something? Because I only see the passing the gauntlet trait.
They're not on there. Yeah.
Yeah.
Option traits aren't on there.
Because I assume at some point they're going to put him in as actually.
Yeah, they're going to be Forged in Blue Flame. They might be just underneath him. No, they're not. But they might end up Forged, how it's a separate thing since you pay for it. They'll probably add the two traits separately. But right underneath him.
Yeah, they still haven't figured out how to code in Giant Girl.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. I can see that being a bit of a problem. All right. So Battle Royales are going to be their own kind of wackiness.
I think in Battle Royales there's just I don't think there's an instant win. I think Dune Buggy might be an instant loss. Just because you're missing one big pick.
Challenge
But it just depends. It just depends what else. I mean, I think there's just a lot of good stuff. Like you could pull a Doom buggy and still pick up like a Gamora, and Gamora's just like balling.
Yeah, she.
Traded prob. It's not a bad prob.
Yeah.
Not a bad thing to have.
Yeah.
I just think it's really interesting for a battle royal format.
Yeah. You know, honestly, I'm looking forward to people walking by the WizKids booth and seeing the battle royales with giant figures on them. And people are like, are they playing with action figures? No, they're smaller figures. What the hell am I looking at here? Is that a spider buggy? What?
And I think the funnest thing is when you have a giant girl, but like I've seen a couple with 2 giant girls at 200. So I think those are the funnest ones to watch.
Those are the slug.
Yeah. It's like they just never die.
It's like, see you guys tomorrow. You guys fight over there with the until time. We're gonna play our own game and go for 3rd place here.
Yeah.
All right. So let's bring it back to a little bit more of a serious mode. Avengers Infinity is a set that they're playing for Team Nationals. Okay, now the team event, for those of you unfamiliar, you'll get a team of 3, and you'll end up with 6 packs between the 3 players, right? You open all 6 packs as a single pool, and all 3 players build teams with the contents of those 6 packs. And then each player is assigned a letter A, B, C, and then every round the A's play each other, the B's play each other, and the C's play each other. So ultimately, build a bunch of teams, pick a bunch of letters. Ultimately, it doesn't matter in the end because everybody thinks there's some kind of system to the ABC system, but then somebody else, it's massive rock, paper, scissors. Don't overthink that part of it, guys. Trust me on that one. I've played this twice for Worlds, and both times it's just like, you guys are overthinking this. You guys are way this. It's like, no, we got to put the best team in the A's because we're always going to put the team captains in the A's, and then you got to put like the worst team in the B's because you're going to put the second best team in the B's, and we put the best team in the C's, and it's like, just play. Like, these teams should be able to compete. That's what we're going for. Anyway, so now that I've done like the preliminary generic stuff, Easton, it sounded like you have some real thoughts on this because you're all gung ho about the team championships, and you also are a team champion. So.
Yeah, it's probably like I love the singles, you know, it's competitive and I enjoy that. But man, the teams is just the funnest part to me. Like, and especially with this set, because this set's just gonna be nuts. Because I think, you know, most of what you're gonna see is just like, what Colossals did I get? I need to, you know, pick the best ones. How many giant girls did I pull? How many can I put on one team? And I think if I had to pick one single best pool, I do think it might be Thanos, just because he can drag the game out if you're decently lucky, and if you play him at like 225 or whatever, it's pretty strong, and then you have room for other crap. And I think there's just really a lot of stuff that could just ruin your day. I don't think there's just going to be a team that can straight up dominate. Even though, like, in my first sealed, I did have like Star Fox, Chase, Kronos, her, and that was pretty gross. But yeah, I think this one's going to be a little bit more fun than last year. Avengers Defenders had a lot of synergy, and I think this set might even have a little bit more.
All right, awesome. PJ disappeared just as I was about to move on to him. Hey, there he is. PJ, your thoughts?
I was just moving one of my cats.
Hey, look, Adam replied.
Oh yeah, the other guy who's supposed to be.
I'm kind of with Easton. I love Team Sealed. It's my favorite part of the weekend. It's super fun, and you know, there's good prizes on the line, but it's usually pretty chill and laid back. One thing I'll say, like, with this set is you're going to see a lot less reliance on what was pulled and more of how good are you at team building with what you pull. Because if you're playing your Colossals at the wrong dials, you're just not playing them correctly. So there's so many different ways to play what you pull this time. that you're gonna see a lot more people with seemingly good pools than this past year, because like a lot of the rares, like especially the rare colossals, are just really good. So you can get a lot of value in your rare slot this time. Is last year where the rares weren't exactly bright and shining, but having Ego and Thanos and Giganto and Namor, those are all really, really solid options in the rare slot. I think Tidal Wasp is a rare.
Yeah.
So, there's just a lot of good stuff to work with, and I'm just really pumped for it. I'm ready for it. I'm going to be probably dredging through nationals toward the end, just to be ready for the next day.
Awesome. All right. So with that, we've talked about team nationals. We've talked about nationals. We've talked about practicing, getting yourself ready for it. We're going to move on to fan questions, and then after that, we'll get like last words from everybody. Fan questions. If you're in the chat right now, put in big capital letters "question," and we'll address your question as we go. If you're watching live, if you're watching in the archive, sorry you missed out. But we're going to start with our Facebook, where we posted the announcement for this. And Michael Fedor, who is a patron of the channel, he wants to know, guys, and Michael likes to know the history of players as it stands. He wants to know when you guys started playing heroclix. PJ, when did you start playing heroclix?
My first booster was Web of Spider-Man, and I didn't play a whole lot, but like I learned the game way back when it started because I was playing Mage Knight and Mech Warrior, but I don't really consider that when it started. But Web of Spider-Man's when I first bought in, and I didn't start playing a lot until after War of Light was after the OP for War of Light was done. So whatever set that was.
All right. After War of Light, just before War of Light, I believe was Slosh, right? No, maybe.
I'm trying to.
I don't remember. HC Realms should have this information for me, right?
Yeah, I'm just going back and looking. I don't see War of Light though.
War of Light is. Oh my goodness!
Wow. Right before it, yeah, I probably didn't play.
Guardians of the Galaxy.
I think Flash is when I actually started. But yeah, because zombies weren't in the boosters I was buying when I started actually playing. Like Trinity War and Flash were the two sets that were new when I started playing for real.
All right, cool. Easton, what about you, sir?
If I am correct, I think it'd be 2005. I was 7, so. I think that adds up.
See this? See how great this is here? I've got hairs on my chin who've been on my face longer than Easton's been alive. Thanks for that one.
Hey man, anytime.
Yeah. And how about competitively? Like, were you like our young master Isaac, a master builder at 7?
Well, not really. I probably had like my most success when I was like 10 or 11 as far as that goes, and I never won anything big. And I played mostly casually locally, and I went to a few big events, and I went to like Worlds once because like I played 3 sports too, and I did all the way through high school, which is why I didn't really get to go. I didn't really start going to Worlds until when Paris won 3 years ago, I guess now. Because I always had football.
Fair enough. Yeah. Do you have a bunch of trophies in those games too?
I have a few state trophies in baseball.
Yeah. Thanks. all bright winner over there, eh? And yeah, I mean, I've been here since day one, but I competitively, honestly, I took the longest freaking time to get into a competitive play of this game, and I still can't play it. Like, even competitive, I go to competitive tournaments. It's hard to call me a competitive player. Let's not get ourselves. Everybody laughs at my teams, and I accept that. All right. So we move into the chat, and Nolan Lake, he wants to know, when are Canadian Nationals, and is it worth going to the qualifiers, even if I'll get absolutely destroyed considering I have no battle level figures? Well, here's the beautiful news for you. There are 4 different qualifiers they're running at Canadian Nationals. and all 4 of them are different. Or sorry, there's 2 that they're running that are going to be constructed, and 2 that they're going to be sealed. So if you don't have metal level figures for these ones, don't worry about it, because there's sealed where you could pull something that could win you, or you might not do so well. Who knows how that works out? Sealed, if you're worried about your quality of figures, is where you want to try to qualify, and then that night in the hotel start running around to people and getting them to help you build your teams, or start coming up with some teams and maybe contact people you may or may not know for borrowing figures. Because one thing you'll find about this community is we're all really good about loaning our figures to complete strangers. It's weird. We're all weird like that.
I'll loan stuff out.
Yeah. Myself, I'll be there with whatever I can offer up. Nolan, you're regular to the channel, so message the Facebook page if you can, and I'll help you the best I can. PJ will be there. I'll talk to him if we can't help out.
I'll ship some stuff out.
I'll buy stuff from Easton's dad, and we'll be good. I'll help pay for Easton's college.
There you go.
So don't worry about that aspect of it. Look for the team that you want to play, and then start talking to people. Honestly, Adam Freeman, who was supposed to be on this show today, and decided to spend all his time upstairs. Let's not ask questions about what he was doing up there. He won U.S. Nationals a couple years ago, owning maybe 2 of the figures that were on his team.
Yep.
So
everything is with borrowed figures. So
yeah, I think he maybe owned his his Book of the Skull and his Ophidian.
Maybe.
So maybe, I'm not sure about the Ophidian. I think he borrowed that one too.
Yeah, I'd be surprised if he owned Ophidian.
Yeah, I think might be worth too much. Generally, if it's anything, it's over $15 or $20. He sells it. So
fair enough. Yeah. All right. Next up, KJ Foster. If you are qualified, do you play in grinders or battle royales? If grinders, do you practice your team? I generally, okay, I'm super polite Canadian there, eh? So if I'm qualified, I stay away from possibly denying somebody a qualification, because for one, grinders aren't free. They do cost money. And I feel like a big jerk if I'm already qualified. I'm bullying people out of those. I generally stay towards the battle royales, and that's how I'm going to answer that question myself. But I'm going to let the personal opinions of Mr. PJ and Easton go. PJ, what's your thoughts on the matter?
I think you should avoid the grinders if you're already qualified. If you want to practice, just find somebody to practice with. That's it easier, and you can actually play it appropriate. Like, because when you're testing, you should be doing what if scenarios, like, not counting crit misses, not counting crit hits, big attacks that if you miss, you lose. Okay, well, let's see what happens if you hit. Like, that's how testing should go. And then, like you said, denying people a chance is probably just distasteful. I think the community is better than that. So I don't think there's any reason to play in a grinder.
And Easton, your thoughts?
Yeah, I don't think there's a reason to play in one either. First off, it's just like, a dick move.
So it's been established. All 3 of us say, don't be a dink.
Second off, I feel like you can just get enough out of the grinders just by watching them and see what's being played and kind of just test in your head. That's a lot of what I do is just, what I do here, blah, blah, blah. And I think you just get a good feel for what's going to be played and get played, because the grinders are just basically going to correlate to nationals itself. And I think that on the same note, I guess, I don't think people should be holding back their teams in grinders. Again, I don't care if the element of surprise. I think if you're playing this team, you should be getting as much practice with as possible, because familiarity. Maybe with your team, I think, is better than the lack thereof of somebody else.
I can attest to the fact that I played against your father in the grinder at Worlds, though I don't think he was on top of his game when we played, because he went on to win Worlds, even though I technically won that game. But he was also playing in Nationals, so I don't think he cared. As long as he was in the top 2, he was guaranteed to be in Worlds, regardless.
Right.
That's what I did too.
Yeah. it's one of those things. Like I don't have to play it too hard, but I also got a good look at how your father's team, and because I didn't see it played properly, I was still caught off guard.
He was sandbagging you.
Oh, he totally like I was sitting there like, why is the Goblin King here? Oh, yeah, he's in Nationals, isn't he? that was exactly my state of thought. Like, all right, yeah, okay, cool. All right. So yeah, you know what? If you're staying down there in the area, you have a hotel room. Honestly, there's a lot of room in hotel rooms for testing your team out. There's generally a table or two that's available. Sometimes I would ask around at the booth just to be sure to, just kind of crack open a game or start up a game. But honestly, there's enough space you can get the practice and enough players. Like KJ yourself, if I'm in the middle of a battle royale and you're like, hey, after your battle royale, you want to go practice? Like, I'll jump on. Why not? I mean, if you have some specific things you need to practice with, let's do it, and I'll help you out. Because if I'm pre-qualified as well, there's enough people who are going to be there who are qualified already that it's worth grabbing a body. Or later in the day in the Wednesday, there's enough people who have won some of the grinders themselves, played a couple battle royales, or a little done with the sometimes tryhards in the battle royales. It's worth it to just take a step aside, go crack a couple cold ones, and play some practice games. Honestly, I can't tell you how important relaxing is and chilling out while you practice just before, because it can get a little intense when you're in the game, and you kind of want to have a little bit of downtime, even if that downtime is still gaining some extra experience before the tournament. All right. Next up, Benjamin Oliver. Is this for Modern or for ROC? Sorry, just getting into HeroClix. Also helping. Hope you guys are good today. This is for the WizKids US Nationals. So that's all the topic we've been discussing on this show is strictly about the WizKids focused US National event. I'm going to probably put a link in the description when I have a question I actually present to the guys over here, and go with that. All right. And actually, it's actually time to move on to those last couple things we got to talk about. First of all, I want to thank PJ and Easton for joining us on the show. It's been a pleasure having you guys on the show. But before we go, U.S. Nationals, it's just around the corner. Any last words you want to leave everybody on? I'll start with you, PJ.
Play something you're familiar with. Don't try to hard switch last minute like I might do. Just get as many reps in as you can, because even if you find a team that might be better, it doesn't mean you're better with it.
All right. And Easton, anything you want to add?
I'm depressed PJ isn't playing Giant Girls.
Couldn't make it work, man. Just couldn't find a way.
How many? Okay, I have to ask this question. This is the Fast Forces Giant Girl we're talking about right now?
It's a mix of both.
It's a mix, yeah.
Okay. How many of the Fast Force ones did you acquire?
I only own 4. The build I was testing used 7.
They're like already up to the price of the Fast Force itself too.
Like the Giant Girls themselves?
Yeah.
Or just the Giant Girl. Fast Forces is already up to 30.
Oof. Oh man, I've acquired 1, but the Giant Girl. Okay, and let's actually present that question. What about the main set Giant Girl? A little easier to acquire?
Definitely. You can get her for $4 today. Like, she's not much at all.
Yeah, I think you sprinkle her in, just because if you can kill something, you use her, and they just grow a little bit, and they can start to pop off. If they get some decent rolls and some good heals.
Yeah.
And she doesn't have the colossal indifference.
Right.
So,
yeah. So she can still actually charge an attack instead of colossal retaliating.
She has a 5-move charge with a 3-square giant reach.
That's an 8 reach charge. That's insanity.
Yeah, attack 3 damage for 10 points. She's just a good piece. And with 10 movement, you can carry somebody.
Yeah.
You can get pretty far.
She's a legitimate taxi.
Yeah, I was using her to when I was testing, carrying Dr. Evans from Groot, because my taxi's already full.
Yeah,
I'll just that Giant Girl to tote him around, so I have an outwit whenever I want it.
Yeah, so now you can actually say, thanks for the outwit. I'm going to use it. As
Yep.
opposed to, well, thanks for this outwit. I didn't really plan for it. You know, let's add that to the test pool. Build your team and consider Leslie Evans being on your team, because some people playing Groots are going to do that. They're going to give you outwit, and if you can make effective use of it, by all means, do it.
I'm pretty sure if you're playing Groot, you will almost always do that, unless like your team is just super, super countered by outwit, which I don't really think there's
You
too
should
much.
be using Groot with if that's a problem. So, all right. On that note, I did throw a link in the description below for anybody who's unfamiliar with a lot of the details as far as U.S. Nationals is concerned. It's happening at Origins Game Fair this week in Columbus, Ohio. I believe, as Easton said, everything starts on Wednesday, so make sure you got your tickets, make sure you got your accommodations down there. I know I was able to stay at an Airbnb when I was down there last year. There's some pretty reliable alternatives to hotels. Hotels are a little pricey, and I think they're full at this point if you're looking for one. And also, I'm going to do a little bit of self-plugging. If you guys are fans of the show, check us out at patreon.com/heroclix if you want to support us a little bit. Any little bit helps. If you are a patron, check us out tomorrow night. We have 3 nights of live shows ahead for us, starting with tonight, where you just watched myself joined by PJ and Easton talking about U.S. Nationals. Tomorrow will be our patron hangout. So if you are a patron to the channel, you get to join in the chat, or if you're not a patron, you get to watch it and see how we interact with our patrons. Those of us who like to open our wallets, their wallets a little bit to us, check us out, patreon.com/heroclix. Check us out on Facebook, facebook.com/heroclix, youtube.com. You're already here for YouTube. I don't have to bother with that. So, all right. Thank you guys very much for joining us. Guys, if you were watching the entire show, we can't stress this enough. I stress it all the time. These guys talked about it. If you're going to Origins, you're going to U.S. Nationals, you're looking to pump yourself up, get your team ready. There's one word. I'm going to let everybody say that one word. PJ, what's that word?
Practice.
Easton, what's the word?
Practice.
Because practice will make your team better. Have a good night, everybody.